Hi, my name is Michael Novello from visualpix.com, and today I'm going to show you how you can recreate the Walking Dead intro logo from my favorite TV show, The Walking Dead. We're building this logo from scratch. I use some textures from DeviantArt, some brushes from DeviantArt, and a font from FontZone. I provide you the links under the video in the video description, so you can download them. And yeah, what you can learn here is how I organize my layers, how you can use layer styles, how you can use layer masks, adjustment layers, and it's all non-destructive. So let's jump into the tutorial right now.
Okay, now we are in Photoshop, and what you can see here is the finished result. Let's analyze real quick this finished result here. We have the real dirty look of the logo here. The letters are dirty, they have some texture on it, and beside the letters there's some dirt. Behind the letters it's a little bit darker. We have a color gradient from the top left corner to the bottom right corner, and there's something like a frame outside. Okay, before we begin, I have 2 or 3 things to say. The first thing is, if you see the cursor jumping, something like that, it's because I'm using a tablet and a pen. And this is the result of the pen. If I move the mouse, it looks like this, and the pen is that. And the second reason of a jumping cursor or a wandering cursor outside the screen is because I have to take a break, maybe to smoke a cigarette or drink a coffee or follow the nature. That means I have to pee. And yeah, that's just the explanation for the jumping cursor. I'm not doing something in the background while I'm pausing the recording and then I don't show you what I have done. No, it's just because I take a break, because it's a long tutorial. The next thing is I'm going to make this tutorial a little bit slow, and that's because this is 2 reasons. The first reason, my native language is German and not English, so I have a little bit to think about what I have to say or what I'm saying. And the next thing is, I'm doing this with my tutorials a little bit slower. It's because I don't want to hesitate. I don't want that you cannot follow the tutorial. So I'm doing it a little bit slower than I normally work. If I work like I'm doing my tutorials, maybe I'm starving to death, and then maybe I'm a walking dead man, because the zombie apocalypse is coming. This is something. No, I don't hope that. Okay, now let's begin with the tutorial. Let's create a new file, 9020 to 1080, resolution 72 pixels, that's okay, and we name it Walking Dead Intro Tutorial. Okay, now we have a blank file here, and for the background I want to render some clouds. The colors for the foreground, or the color for the foreground, is 2A1E20, and the color for the background is 1A0F13. Now going to filters, render filters, clouds. Then we have here this dark cloudy look here. Then I rename this here to BG for background clouds. Then I'm going to copy that. I'm holding the Alt key and I move the mouse upwards. Something like that. Okay, now we need some layer styles. The layer styles we need is first the inner glow and then the gradient overlay. And for this I'm going to double click here, or we can just open this here and go to inner glow. And I go to double click it, go to inner glow, and now we are going to create the frame on the outside. And the frame should be a little bit of a greenish color that I'm using D0FBC1. This is the color I want to use. Then I wanted it a little bit bigger, so I'm increasing the size to something like that, 15, 16, something like that. That's okay. And because I don't want to have this edgy background, I'm going to increase the range to feather it out a little bit. If you go to 1%, you have a straight edge here, and if you go to 100%, it's the inner color is feathering out to the outside. The next one is I want a color gradient. And the color gradient blend mode is here U, and the angle is something like that, 111, or a little bit lower, 110. Then we double click here, and I need here a color on this side. It's a greenish color as well. I want this here 016 F6E, and the second color here is not white, it's a yellowish color, it's FEE 847, and I'm going to lower the opacity to 0 so that the green is going to yellow and is fading out, something like that. Then we're going to increase the scale here. If you lower the scale to 10%, you see here, you can see the edge here. But I want that it's feathering into another, so I'm going to increase that to something like 100, yeah, something like that. And let's see what else we have to do. It's a little bit too much, the effect, so I'm going to lower it here to something like that. That's okay. So it's there, but the background is there as well, and it's not overwhelming the background. So I'll press OK. Now we have the frame and the color gradient here. After applying the layer style, we're going to need a level adjustment layer, because I want to get a little bit more contrast in this image. So I click here on the adjustments and I add an adjustment layer, and I move this here a little bit over 7 or something like that, and this one as well, something like that is okay. So this is before, this is the after. Now we have a little bit more contrast in it. And now we're going to add the grunge, or the speckles, this dirty look on this image here. Now let's add a new layer. Above the adjustment layer here, let's click new layer and select new foreground color 2B, 1C, 1F, and then with the brush tool we select the 2447, and now let's add some grunge here, but I lower the opacity here a little bit, about 50%, and then I almost forgot, we have to set the blend mode to screen, and then we can add the grunge here all over the wallpaper. Then we are going to add a little bit more opacity, and I'm going to modify the brush a little bit. Let's add a little bit more, maybe more opacity, something like that. Here as well, here and here as well. Then I'm going to lower it a little bit, the opacity of the layer here. That's about, yeah, let's say 70% or 80%. Then turn this into a smart object, and now we're going to add a little bit of blur, a Gaussian blur, with a radius of, yeah, let's make it 2, and that's okay. This brings a little bit the grunge brush into the background. Next we need another new layer, and now we're going to change the foreground color to 85776, and the blend mode is normal, and then I choose another brush here. Let's see, I want now some splatters. Oh, where is it? Here. This one. Now let's add some splatters here and open this guy here. So I want some splatters in the corners. Not so big. Something like that. It's too much. So we're going back, rotate this a little bit, something like that, and click once, and then another rotation, maybe like that. Then the opposite, going to add here some splitters. And here's some splitters, and this should be okay. Now let's see, maybe we lower the opacity of this as well. Just back here, and let's bring down the opacity a little bit. something like that. That's okay. As you can see, we have now here this line. I don't want that, and let's try to get rid of this with the history, and let's rotate the brush again in another direction, something like that, and add it here. That's okay. And now let's lower the opacity again. That's okay. And now with the new layer, we're going to add a little bit of darkness in the middle with a soft brush here. Let's go with, let's see, let's do 12, 12, 12. It's not pitch black, it's a little bit over the absolute black point. Normally you should never work with total black in an image, because total black is not existing in nature and it looks always a little bit unnatural. So with the brush, with a big brush like this, a little bit bigger, let's do 500. Yeah. And now we lower the opacity here to about 50%. And let's add here with, I'm doing this with the pen, with pressure, and let's darken this area here a little bit. Because here I want to place the text. We should yeah, that's okay. Now we have darkened the middle a little bit. That's okay. Now we are going to add some texture, image texture, which you can download on the download link below. And I'm going to place a link. And I'm going to this Grunge backgrounds, and with this one, number 7, I place it, and let's resize it until it fits. Doesn't matter if it's a little bit out of shape, it's okay. Doesn't matter, it's just a texture. And then we are going to change the mode. First apply it, and then we change the mode to multiply, and then I'm going to add adjustment layer, hue and saturation, and if you click the hue adjustment or all of this by holding the Alt key, you get this menu here, and then I can click here, use previous layer to create a clipping mask, and that's what I want. And then I lower the opacity, the saturation about, yeah, let's go to, that's okay. And that's looking really cool. Now we have a little bit of a grungy look. It's all dirty all over, and that's what we want. If you look at the original or my previous made one, you see it's looking the same way. A little bit different because, yeah, I'm not able to remember the exact place where I put my splatters, so that's okay. Now let's add a new layer, and with the color of 6E5F40, we're going to add a little bit of a bright color here in the corners. Set the blend mode to screen. And then we choose the brush tool, and let's see, something like that size. 1 click, 2 click. And now let's lower the opacity of this layer here to about 20, 22, 23%. That's okay. Now let's create another new layer here and set the blend mode again to screen. And now I need another brush here. Let's choose another from these splashes. Let's see. I need splitter. Oh, let's see. One. This one, that's okay. I need this. Okay, but first, I think the color is okay. Let's lower the opacity to about 65%. And let's add some letters here. Something like that. Then we can flip the brush. If we click here, you can flip in the x-axis, or if you click here, you can flip in the y-axis. So I'm adding here this here as well. Okay, and then I'm going with this here, and let's maybe rotate this a little bit like that and bring some splatters here and some splatters from here, and maybe we can put some splatters from above, something like that. Maybe a little bit more. This was too much, so I'm going back one step, and I think that's okay. The splatters are enough, and let's lower the opacity a little bit more, something about that, and let's turn this here into a smart object, and then we are going to filter blur. Not right now. First we are going to add some layer styles here. Now let's add a layer style. In this case I want an inner glow, and the color something like want something bright, something which goes to yellow. Let's use let's use E1C280, and then we need here the blend mode to set to vivid light, and opacity, we lower the opacity a little bit, about that, 30%, and source is the center, and the rest of the settings are okay. Let's try here. Let's go with 9 or so. Okay, I think this should be nice. Maybe can bring this up to 50%, and I think that's looking real good. Now let's blur this a little bit so the splatters are fitting in the background, so they're feathering in, so they have not this harsh edges. So the blur filter, Gaussian blur, let's set this, let's see, this 0.1, and we're going to let's go with the extreme. Okay, we're going to make 1.4 or something like that. Should be okay. So now the edges are a little bit softer, and now we are finished with the background. Let's group them together here, all of them, except for let's take all of them, and with Control and G we have made a group here. Double click and call it background. And now finally we are going to add some text here. Let's go to the text tool and let's go with the SE font. Let's see, SI font regular, and let's write it, Walking Dead, and resize it something like that. The middle maybe a little bit bigger here. Okay, something like that. And we have to change the color of the text. Again, double click, click here, and we're going to use E6 D5 B5. That's our color for the text. And now we are going to add the other words here. First the, and we are choosing for this, we are choosing another font. I'm going with the Ostrich Sans, I think the Sans bold, and we can now place this text here over the A. Then we're going to resize that a little bit with the Shift key pressed. We can scale it proportional and set it a little bit above of the A, something like that. Okay, that's not the right font, so I'm going with Ostrich Sans Black. Okay, that's for that. I am going to copy this layer by holding the Alt key and move up by clicking, hold the Alt key and the mouse key on the layer you want to copy, and then move up. We're moving it under the A, something like that is okay. Double click and we are writing pixel. That's just another word. It's not important what's here. You can do nothing here. It's just for me something like that. Should be okay. Okay, now we have to deal with the text here a little bit more. Let's click on it and go to the character settings, and let's see, I want it's a little bit of more gap here, so I'm going to lower this here to -5. That's okay, and the rest we let it like it is. Now I want to organize my text layers a little bit. For this I'm going to add these 3 text layers to separate groups. Let's add here a group and call it Walking Dead. Walking Dead. Then there's one as well. Let's call it the, and the pixel layer as well. Call it pixel. And then I'm going to move this pixel layer down here. It's just for organization, because this is the first one, the Walking Dead pixel, and that's okay. Now let's begin to work on the big font here, on the big letters here. At first I want to have an inner glow here, but because I want to change something here, and yeah, for this I want to show you how you can do this with text and in a non-destructive way. Just convert this to a smart object, and now if you double click here, you can always change your text. It's a really cool thing if it's not clear right now, or you want to reuse the style. You can do it with smart objects, so you can always go back. You can remove the settings like a blur filter or something like that. You can change it, and with text you can always change the text, and that's a really cool thing. Let's close this here, and no, I don't want to save that. Now let's add here the layer style inner glow, and let's add here another color. Let's go with D5C09F. Okay, and we set this is okay to screen opacity something like 35, and let's see, with about 7 pixels, that's okay, and the range of 100%. This should be all okay. Okay, now let's see if we see something. It's a real subtle effect, but it's there. Maybe you cannot see it on your video, but if you do it yourself in Photoshop, you will see this fine difference here. Let's see, do we have the right effect here in the glow? Yeah, it's all okay. Now we have to apply this effect to the other text layers here. I'm going to set this to convert to smart object, and then I'm going with the Alt key and mouse over the effect. I'm going to copy the effect to this layer, and here doing the same thing here, convert to smart object, and then with the Alt key and the mouse I'm putting this on the pixel layer. So we have on all three layer groups we have the same effect. And now we are going to add some texture here on this letters here. For this I'm selecting the layer here again, and I'm going to place another texture, place linked, and we're going with the number 3 this time. And let's see, this is okay. And we're going to going with a clipping mask this time, because I want that this texture is only affecting the letters. So we can go with a clipping mask, create clipping mask, and then the texture is only visible on the text. And let's do this as well for the other layers. Let's grab this here with the Alt key, move it up, create clipping mask, and then move it down and create clipping mask. Some of you will maybe say, okay, you can do this in one group. Yes, you can do, but in some other steps in the tutorial you will see that for me it's better I'm putting this in separate groups, so I can always go with that. I can blend out the pixel layer or the layer, whatever. It's more, yeah, you can refine your work afterwards better. Yeah, and because we are doing in some of the next step, we're going to add this dirt around the letters, and for that it's better that the texture is they have separate groups. It's 3 times the work, but it's worth it. I like to work this way, be more organized. Maybe it's a little bit over organized, but I'm working like this. And now, because the texture is too bright, too colorful, I want to desaturate it a little bit and make it a little bit more dirty. For this I'm going to add, let's start with the Walking Dead again, with the adjustment layer and the hue and saturation. I'm going to lower the saturation about, yeah, let's go with 35, and let's play with the hue as well. You can see you can go into several colors here, and we are going to something like 4 maybe, and let's create a clipping mask out of that, because I want that this adjustment layer is only affecting the text here. Now we have lowered the saturation a little bit. Now we can go and we can copy it, create a clipping mask, and for the top layer as well, create clipping mask, and it's all really cool. One of the advantages of this technique is that you can see here the texture is okay, but here it's too white, and this is one of the reasons I like this method here. Now I can move the texture, just clicking just on the texture, clicking V, and then I can move the texture. As you can see, I can choose whatever place I want on the texture, so that this here is affected the right way, and it's not not so bright here. Something like that should be, yeah, that's cool. And for the we're doing the same thing for the okay, we can move this as well until we find a spot which is good. Maybe you cannot see it on the screen on the video, but I think that's okay. Now we have a little bit more texture in the letters here. So the next step is we have to darken the text a little bit and giving it a little bit more of a crunchy effect, some more dirt on it. And this is really easy. We are picking the paintbrush here, and the brushes, I'm selecting just a soft brush here. Let's go with this here, and then in the settings I'm going to what can we do here? We can, that's okay, maybe we lower this here to about 70. Then we need shape dynamics. In the shape dynamics, we are going to add a little bit of a size jitter, about 50%. And then we need color dynamics. That's okay, the settings. And in the next we need transfer. And because I'm using a pen, I want that it's depending on the pen pressure. That's okay. And yeah, we are going with this. Now we are going to add another color here for the foreground. We are going with A5A196, a grayish color, grayish brown, and with the background color we are choosing B8976C, so we have a bright brownish color. Then we are going to add a layer above this here, and now let's darken the text a little bit, like this. Okay, that's not what I want. Let's go to multiply and let's darken. Let's just go in there and darken the text a little bit, maybe make some points here in the middle. It's just for giving it a little bit more of an extra dirty look here, especially on the top here. Just do it randomly, that's okay. Try to prevent this so that you going to add a straight line or something like that. Just tip in there and do some random work. Okay, I think that's okay. Maybe here a little bit more and here. Okay, and the same thing we are doing for this layer here as well. New layer, and then we darken. Yeah, we have to set it to multiply, and let's darken it again a little bit more so that it's just go randomly over it. Then the layer again, new layer, set to multiply, and here as well. Just darken the brighter parts a little bit. That's okay. Maybe here. Okay. And the next step, we're going to add the grunge inside and outside around the text. This way I'm going to change the foreground color to FFFADA, and we are creating a new layer. Let's start with the Walking Dead again. New layer, and this is, let's call it splatter or grunge. And let's make a clipping mask out of it. We can make this a clipping mask as well. The previous made layer, not smart object, clipping mask, and this here as well, a clipping mask. And then we are going to change the blend mode to screen, and with the splatter brush or grunge brush we are going to add some splatters in the text. Let's see which one we are going to. Let's go with this one here. Yeah, this is cool. And at first let's lower the opacity here to about 65 to 75, something about that. And then let's click into the text. We just need this this splattering here. It's not, make it not too dense, but try to do as many as we need here. Then we are going to control click the text layer. Then we are going to, with the grunge layer selected, we're going to control J. So we are only copying whatever is in the selection. If we have a look here, I barely can see it, but it's there. Yeah. Now we can do this another time. And another Control J. And then we have to do something because we want now to move the layers. We want to move the layers in horizontal and in vertical. So I call this here horizontal. And this would be the vertical layer. Vertical. Okay. Now we have to change this here is okay, and is to our screen mode, that's okay. And now with the horizontal layer, I'm going to move in a little bit with the zoom, and then with the with the moving tool, we're going to move this layer here a little bit. Something like that. That's okay. And we are moving the vertical as well. We're moving it up. So that should be fine. I think that's cool. And yeah, that's cool. And let's select this here again and add a mask to it, to the vertical layer mask. And now all stuff inside, if you select and click mask, the tool is masking out the inner, because if we do these layers, we are topping the layers, we are doubling the effect, and in this case we are doing the effect 3 times: the original grunge, the horizontal, and the vertical, and we don't want that, so we have to mask out it. So, and the vertical, let's invert it so that we have this here again. Now only the outside of the letter is showing, not the inside. It's looking like that. The letters are masked out, and all around it you can see. Again, selection, Control key, go to horizontal and click, and do an inversion of the mask by Control and I. So now we have this this grunge here on the side, but it's too straight. There are straight lines, and now we have to remove this. This is a little bit often handiwork. You have to do it manually. Maybe you can do it with a filter, but it's always better in this case you do it by your own, because you have to recreate a little bit of a more organic thing here, organic feeling. If you do it with filter is always a filter. A script is a script, and it does his thing, but it's always a script, and it's not like a human. A human is better in the things, believe me. Maybe you show me a method how it's done with filter, but in this case I want to do it manually. And I do this with the mask selected, the horizontal. I'm going to take a brush, this here, and going to scale it down, and then I'm going to mask things out here just by going over them. It's not precise work, it's just a thing of your eyes and of your imagination, how it can be. Now you can watch me doing this or do something else. I speed this up here a little bit so that you are able to go on in the tutorial. But this is just clicking and removing parts from the splatters here. Now the Walking Dead letters are finished. As you can see, I have deleted the edges here, and I was going randomly through all of the letters. And now we need to change these two layers into smart objects, because now I want to add a blur filter. Let's go and convert them, and let's blur this a little bit. The Gaussian blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm going to blur it really with a really low number. Let's say 0.7 or 0.8. See, it's all blurred, and there's really no blur, and yeah, I think that's okay. So the harsh edges are gone, and the effect is still there. It's not too blurry. Okay, and the same for the vertical. Here I can just click Filters, Gaussian blur. Okay, now we have to do that for the other two text layers as well. I will speed up again the process so you can watch, lean back and watch, and I'm doing the work. Okay, now if we now zoom out, you can see we have now a really cool Walking Dead intro logo, and it's a little bit different than my other one, but this tutorial is a little bit about the creativity, your own creativity, and you have to do your thing. It's nearly impossible to reach the same result if you do it again. If I do this again, the result will be different. Okay, I hope you liked this video, and if you liked it, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, a comment, advice, or whatever. Everything helps to do the things better. See you next time. Bye.